Okay, so in this video I'm going to go over the Chapter 1 Linear Functions review. I'm going to first start off by writing all of the formulas that you're going to have on the test at the top of my paper. Okay, so the formulas are, this is the linear function formula, this is point-slope formula, this is slope-intercept, this is recursively written for a series, this one is explicitly written, and this one is the sum of a series. So, number 1 wants me to find the x and y intercepts of the following linear functions. To do this, I want to go ahead and plug in 0 for the opposite letter. So if I want to find my x-intercepts, I'm going to plug in 0 for y, in this case the f of x, and then solve for x. So I'm going to subtract 8 on both sides. I get negative 8 equals 1/2 x. Multiply both sides by 2 because I want to multiply by the reciprocal. So I get my x-intercept is negative 16. I want to write this as a coordinate point, so negative 16, comma 0. And then I'm going to do the same thing for my y-intercept. I'm going to plug in 0 for my x. So I'm just going to have y equals 1/2 times 0 plus 8, which is 0 plus 8. So that one is going to be 0, comma 8, because I plugged in 0, got out 8. Same thing for b. So for my x-intercept, I'm going to plug in 0 for y. And I have negative 16x minus 4. I add 4 to both sides. Get 4 equals negative 16x. Divide by negative 16. This simplifies to negative 1/4. So negative 1/4, 0. Then for my y-intercept, I plug in 0 for my x, which I get y equals negative 4. So I have 0, negative 4. Same thing for my last one, my x-intercept, I plug in 0 for y. So I have 2x minus 0 equals 12, which is just 2x equals 12. Divide by 2, x equals 6. So I get 6, comma 0. Then for my y-intercept, I plug in 0 for x. So I have 0 minus y equals 12, negative y equals 12, positive 12. Divide both sides by negative 1, y equals negative 12, so I get 0, comma negative 12. Okay. Number 2 says 2 carpet cleaning companies charge a setup fee and charge for each room cleaned. The table shows the total cost for the company Spiffy Clean. The total cost y in dollars for x rooms cleaned by Dirt Busters is represented by the equation y equals 30x plus 75. Which company charges less per room? I need to come up with my equation for this, so I'm going to use x1, y1, x2, y2. I want to find my slope, so I'm going to do 160 minus 90 over 3 minus 1. This is going to give me 70 over 2, which is 35. And then I can plug back into any of my 3 top equations with the y's. I am going to plug into point slope, the middle one. So I'm going to have y minus, and I'm going to use my first point, but I could use any points and it should still work out the same. 90 equals 35 times x minus 1. Distribute that 35, so I have 35x minus 35. Add 90 to both sides. I get y equals 35x plus, let me double check this one on the calculator, 55. So when I'm comparing to see which company charges less per room, I want to compare slopes. So The equation they gave me was 30, and the equation I had is 35. So 30 is the smaller slope. That is Dirtbusters. Then the one that I need to figure out how many rooms, I set my two equations equal. So I'm going to have 30x plus 75 equals 35x plus 55. I'm going to subtract 30x on both sides. I got 75 equals 5x plus 55. Then I want to subtract 55 on both sides, which gives me 20 equals 5x. Divide both sides by 5. X equals 4, so 4 rooms. Okay, number 3 says, write the slope-intercept form for each of the following linear relationships. Y changes at a constant rate of 1.6, that's going to be my slope, with respect to x, and 0, negative 3.8 is a point on the line. Because this is a y-intercept, I can just plug in the point or slope-intercept. I know it's a y-intercept because my x value is 0. So this one is going to be y equals 1.6 plus 1.6x plus 3.8. Okay, B says y changes at a constant rate of negative 3.2. That's my slope, and it gives me a coordinate point on the line. Because my x is not 0, I actually have to plug this into the formula. So I'm going to have y minus negative 14 equals negative 3.2 times x minus 5. Then I want to simplify so it's in the form it wants. So I'm going to have y plus 14 equals negative 3.2x. And then I need to do negative 3.2 times negative 5, which gets me 16. Subtract 14 on both sides. I get y equals negative 3.2x plus 2. C, I need to figure out what the slope is for this equation. This one I'm going to need to use my slope formula. I will have to remember my slope formula for the test. It is m equals y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. So I need to label my points. Oops, this one's wrong. Okay, let me fix it so it doesn't move. Okay, so plugging into my slope formula, I'm going to have negative 1 minus 20 over 5 minus negative 2. So I get negative 21 over 7, which simplifies to negative 3. Then I'm going to plug into my slope, point slope formula. So I'm going to have y minus 20 equals negative 3 times x minus negative 2. One thing I want to point out with point slope is if I have two different points, I can plug in either point, and when I simplify it should give me the same answer. So this is going to be y minus 20 equals negative 3 times x plus 2, because I want to get rid of my double negatives. Then I want to distribute that negative 3, so I have negative 3x minus 6. Add the 20 to both sides. I get y equals negative 3x plus 14. Same thing for D. I'm going to plug in these points to find my slope. So this is going to give me 15 minus 0 over 0 minus 3, minus negative 3. So I get 15 over 3, which is 5. This one I could plug in the point slope, but if I notice, I'm given my y-intercept. So I don't have to plug all the way in. I could just do y equals 5x plus 15. Okay, this one wants me to graph the equation and find the solution by graphing. I'm going to graph this side in blue and this side in red. I'm going to start with the red one because I can do this one by hand easy. I'm going to go down 11, which is a little bit off my screen, or off my graph. Plot my point, and then I go up 2 over 1, and then I want to connect my points. Then I want to do the other one, so I'm going to graph that on my calculator and then just kind of copy it over. So I'm going to do negative 2, remember the negative out front. The negative out front is always the negative at the bottom of my calculator. Then I go math, arrow over to num. My first choice is ABS, that means absolute values. I do x minus 1 plus 3. Then I go ahead and graph this. So my vertex, or the point where the peak is at 1, 3. And then it crosses my y-axis at 1. So then, since this is 1 away and it's 2 down, I'm going to go 2 down and 1 to the other side. And I'm going to reflect that over. I want to copy this onto my paper. And draw my lines. So this looks like it should be crossing at 4, but I want to double check, so I can use my calculator to do so. I could type in the second equation on the second line, so I'm going to have 2x minus 11. If I graph this, it'll show 2 graphs on my paper. And then I want to go second trace, choice 5 for my intersection, arrow over to where it's crossing, so close to it. Here's good enough. I press enter once. Now it says second, oops, can't see that. Now it says second curve. I press enter again. Now it wants me to guess. I just press enter one more time, and it says my intersection is x equals 4. So definitely recommend for this one, if you're graphing by hand and your graph is questionable like it was right here for me, that you double check on the calculator. Okay. This one, again, wants me to solve by graphing. So I'm going to type this one into my calculator. So 2 math, arrow over to num, enter for my absolute value. Then I want to do x plus 3 minus 8. And then I'm going to go ahead and graph this. So I'm crossing my x-axis at -7 and +1. And then my vertex is at -3, -8. So then I just want to connect my points. So this one says it's greater than 0. That means I want my answers above my x-axis. So those 2 parts I highlighted in yellow. So this one is -7 to the left. So x is less than -7. And this one starts at 1 and goes to the right. X is greater than 1. Okay, number 6 says for the recursive definition, a sub 1 equals 11 and a sub n equals a sub 1 plus 6. What's the explicit definition? So this means that my common difference is D. I can plug into my explicit formula, which is this one, a sub n equals a sub 1 plus d times n minus 1. So I'm going to plug into there. I have a sub n. My first term is 11, plus my common difference of 6 times n minus 1. And then when I'm doing the explicit definition, I always want to simplify. So I'm going to have a sub n is equal to 11 plus 6n minus 6. And then I just want to go ahead and combine like terms. So a sub n equals 6n plus 5. This one wants me to find the sum of a finite arithmetic series. I know my first term is 4. And I know my last term is 46. However, I do not know how many total terms there are. So I'm going to go find my common difference. To go from 4 to 7, I add 3. So I have enough information to plug into my explicit formula. I'm going to do that to figure out how many total terms I have, and then there's one more step. So I have my a sub n, which is 46, my a sub 1, which is 4, my common difference, which is 3, and I don't know how many total terms, so I'm going to use the number n, or letter n. Then I can go ahead and distribute that 3. So I get 3n minus 3. Remember, I take this 3 and distribute it to both terms on the inside. Then I can combine like terms, so I get 46 equals 1 plus 3n. want to subtract 1 on both sides. I get 45 equals 3n. I'm going to go ahead and divide both sides by 3. I get n equals 15. Because it wants me to find my sum, this is a cue to use the S sub n formula. So, plugging into that, it's going to be S sub 15, because I know I have 15 terms. 15 goes on the outside. My first term is 4. My last term is 46. Divide by 2. And then I just type this into my calculator. So I'm going to have 15 times 4 plus 46 divided by 2, which gives me 375. There is a second way I could have done this problem. It would require me to figure out the explicit formula and then to use sigma notation, but I don't have to do that, so I'm not going to. Number 8 says there are 2 parking garages in downtown Phoenix. Central Parking charges a flat fee of $10 and $2 per hour for every hour they are parked in the garage. And Washington Parking charges a flat fee of $4 and $4 per hour for every hour they are parked in the garage. Write a system of linear equations to find the number of hours for which the costs are the same. So my first equation is going to be central. I have y equals 10 is my flat fee, so that one's just 10, and then $2 per hour, so that's 2x. Then for Washington, it's a flat fee of $4, and they charge $4 an hour, so that one gets the x. It wants me to solve to figure out when the costs are the same, so I'm going to plug in for the y. So I get 4 plus 4x equals 10 plus 2x. And then I just solve this like a normal equation. I subtract 2x on both sides. I have 4 plus 2x equals 10. I subtract 4 on both sides. I get 2x equals 6. Divide 2 on both sides. X equals 3. This one just wants me to find the number of hours, not the total money. Actually, did it say to even solve it? It just says to write them. It takes 3 hours. Practice is good. Number 9 says in June you start a holiday savings account with a deposit of $30. You increase each monthly deposit by $4 until the end of the year. How much money will you have saved by December? So, what I want to do here is I am going to have my equation is y equals 30 plus 4x. It wants to know how much money I'll save by the end of December. This is 6 months. So I want to plug in 6. I'm going to have y equals 30 plus 4 times 6. 4 times 6 is 24, which gives me $54. Wait. Nope, this isn't right at all. It said I was increasing by $4. So this one is actually going to use the sigma notation. Okay. So this is my a sub 1. My common difference is 4. So I want to first create my explicit formula. So I'm going to have a sub n equals, my a sub 1 was 30, plus 4 times n minus 1. I want to simplify this. I'm going to have a sub n equals 30 plus 4n minus 4. You distribute that 4. I'm going to have a sub n equals 26 plus 4n. Then I want to use my sigma notation. I'm going to start with n equals 1 because it's always 1. The 6 months goes on top. And then I plug in the formula 26 plus 4n right here. Then on my calculator, to type this in, I go math, choice 0 for summation. Then instead of n, I do x. I do 1, 6, 26, plus 4x, And then I just press enter. It gives me $240. Okay, number 10 says fill in the missing terms of the sequence. So this one is subtracting 3. So if I go backwards, this would be -10, negative 7. Number 11 says to solve the system algebraically. So I want to get one of my letters alone. It doesn't matter which one I get alone. Personally, I'm going to get y alone because it's easier to move that x on the bottom equation. So I get y equals x plus 4. Then I'm going to take this and plug into the y on my top equation. So I have 4x plus 3, and instead of writing y, I'm going to write the x plus 4. And then this equals negative 16. Go ahead and distribute that 3. So it's going to be plus 3x plus 12 equals negative 16. Combine like terms, 7x plus 12 equals negative 16. Subtract the 12. 7x equals negative 28. Then divide both sides by 7. X equals negative 4. I'm not done. I need to plug back in. I get to pick which equation I want to use. I'm going to pick the bottom one because there's less coefficients, so that'll make it nicer to deal with. So I'm going to have negative from the equation, negative 4 from the value of x, plus y equals 4. So 4 plus y equals 4. Subtract 4 on both sides. Y equals 0. Then I just write my answer as a coordinate point, so I have negative 4, comma 0. My last one wants me to write the matrix for the system of equations. So this one is literally just taking my coefficients and numbers and putting them in. So I have 4, negative 1, 2. Then on my right side I have the 10. And I need to make sure my letters are in the same spots. It goes x, y, z. They all go x, y, z, so I'm good. I have 5, 2, negative 3, 0. And the last one's 1, negative 3, 1,